What he's doing is, I mean, kind of cool. If he can continue to steal money and and they match him the way they match him, I can't knock his hustle. So if they can match him the way how they've been matching him, more power to him.
Floyd Mayweather just destroyed Jake Paul after he rejected the Conor McGregor fight, and it was a sight to see. Jake is building his career by cherry-picking old guys and former UFC fighters. Well, that's a cool strategy. But when he turned down McGregor, Floyd couldn't hold back any longer.
As long as he continued to fight MMA guys and YouTubers, he's gonna continue to look good and shine. But once he fights a real fighter, a real fighter that can really fight, it's not gonna be that good.
Mayweather, a legend who built his career on fighting the best, wasted no time calling Jake out for being a cherry picker. No matter how safely he's playing by choosing older guys but ducking McGregor, that's a whole new level of cowardice.
But for what he's doing, as long as they keep getting YouTubers and keep putting them in there with MMA guys, that's kind of over the hill, he's gonna continue to shine.
Jake Paul is the self-proclaimed savior of boxing, right? The guy who's single-handedly redefining the sport by carefully dodging anything that looks like an actual challenge. And now, with his recent rejections of Andrew Tate and Conor McGregor, well, he's proving once again that his strategy isn't bravery, it's branding.
I don't have 50 million to bet with you, but I do have 3 million to bet with you. So this is your offer. $3 million. You put 3, I put 3, winner takes all.
Andrew Tate is a former kickboxing champion, has a big personality, and is the kind of guy who doesn't back down from a fight. He threw $3 million on the table, cash money, for Jake to step in the ring. But Jake? Nope. He decided to strategically decline. Why? Because it's too risky, pass. Why face someone who actually knows how to fight when you can just keep taking swings at retired athletes? And then there's Conor McGregor, a name so big it's practically synonymous with combat sports. But Jake decided to shut that door too. His excuse? Something about weight classes and McGregor being too scared? Really?
Hey, Amanda, Katie,
gigantic.
Conor, Jake. That's how Croke Park gets done. Because you need Conor. You need Conor.
Conor,
God, Jake.
You gave me chills. But it's
Conor,
not
Jake, Amanda.
Because last time I checked, McGregor's been fighting in the UFC against some of the baddest men on the planet. Meanwhile, Jake's biggest claim to fame is knocking out a former basketball player and an MMA guy who probably hadn't thrown a punch in years.
What he's doing is, I mean, kind of cool. If he can continue to steal money and they match him the way they match him, I can't knock his hustle. So if they can match him the way how they've been matching him, more power to him.
But wait, it gets better. Floyd Mayweather, the undefeated legend who's not just great at boxing, but also great at calling people out. And when it comes to Jake, Floyd isn't pulling punches.
Jake fought a guy who was his age and was also considered a boxer, and he lost. So if you can keep fighting 50-something-year-olds...
He flat out called Jake a cherry picker, accusing him of only fighting opponents he knows he can beat. Tyron Woodley? Ben Askren? A 58-year-old Mike Tyson? Yeah, Floyd sees through the act, and honestly, who doesn't at this point?
If you want to fight and you want to send a contract, send one to me. I will take a few weeks break from living my retired life to kick the living out of a goofy, entitled head like you.
And now, after ducking McGregor and Tate, Floyd's critique hits even harder. He's not just talking about Jake's fight choices. He's tearing into his entire career strategy. Floyd's over here saying this kid's making a mockery of boxing. And honestly, he's not wrong. While Floyd built his legacy fighting the best of the best, Jake's over here doing whatever it takes to avoid real fighters. It's like comparing filet mignon to a microwaved hot dog.
I think his strength is that people, for whatever stupid reasons, they underestimate him because of what his background was. Right. And they think there's no way that some guy who became famous off of YouTube.
And can we talk about these fight contracts Jake allegedly uses? The ones with clauses that supposedly limit his opponents? You know, the kind of stuff. If that's true, it's game over for any shred of credibility he had left. Because if you're writing the rules to guarantee you don't lose, then guess what? You're not really fighting. You're just playing pretend.
Is he someone you're interested in or no?
Well, if you go back, you got to do your homework, look on the internet. I think he was doing a sit down on a podcast one time, and he talked about it. He said, I don't want to do an exhibition against Floyd Mayweather.
Floyd doesn't even need to fight Jake to destroy him. His words alone are enough to make Jake's carefully constructed image crumble. Floyd represents everything Jake isn't: discipline, skill, and a legacy built on merit. And when Floyd calls you out, the boxing world listens.
For what he's doing, as long as they keep getting YouTubers and keep putting them in there with MMA guys, that's kind of over the hill, he's going to continue to shine.
So now Jake's stuck. He's too scared, or strategic as he calls it, to face legitimate threats. He's been publicly roasted by Floyd Mayweather, mocked by Conor McGregor, and rejected by fans who are sick of the circus act. The question isn't if Jake will fight a real opponent. The question is, can his career survive without the smoke and mirrors?
Well, X has spoken. The fight was scripted. Everyone is talking about this on X, and the script was actually leaked on X a few days ago.
Take the Mike Tyson fight, for example. Rumors are swirling that there was a clause banning Tyson, yes, Iron Mike, from throwing certain punches. Tyson, who's probably knocked out more people than Jake, has followers on his third-tier TikTok account, but is being restricted in the ring.
I believe that he was making the money he says he's making. Mm-hmm. Showtime Boxing wouldn't have gone out of business, and Showtime would have made sure they kept paying him.
But let's talk about why these allegations sting so much. Jake's entire brand, his whole thing, is built on being the rebel, the underdog, the guy who fights his way to the top. If it turns out his fights are rigged even a little, that whole narrative crumbles faster than his dignity at a Floyd press conference. It's not boxing anymore. It's performance art with boxing gloves.
As of right now, for what he's doing, it's good for what he's doing. But once he fights a real fighter, it's going to be bad.
And I don't think fans are noticing. The whispers about controlled outcomes are turning into full-blown shouts. People are starting to wonder, is Jake even capable of a real fight? Or is every opponent just carefully chosen to make sure his undefeated record stays intact? If the allegations are true, Jake's already shaky credibility might be heading for a total KO.
Jake Paul, it's clear to me you are desperate for a reality check.
Now let's talk about Conor McGregor, because you know he wasn't going to let Jake duck him without a proper roast session. And boy, did he deliver. Conor hit back harder than one of his infamous left hooks, mocking Jake for his apparent love of fighting. Well, people eligible for AARP benefits, but wait, there's more. Jake, clearly feeling the sting, decided to challenge Conor to an MMA fight. No weight class, no limits, just straight up chaos. And what did Conor do? He laughed. He didn't even bother giving Jake a serious response. Instead, he threw a verbal jab about Jake being too scared to fight anyone who isn't collecting a pension.
Your thoughts on this Mike Tyson and Jake Paul fight?
Oh, geez, I don't. It's a bit strange. You know, is my interest? The interest is a low one. I don't know. I don't really. I don't understand it.
All right, let's get something straight. Floyd Mayweather didn't go 50-0 by fighting TikTok stars and retired MMA guys with dad bods. Floyd's legacy is built on battling the best of the best. Names like Pacquiao, Canelo, and De La Hoya. He's the best ever because he earned it. Now Jake Paul, who's out here collecting wins against guys who'd struggle to pass a fitness test at their local gym.
What he's doing is, kind of cool if he can continue to steal money.
Mayweather has made it clear he's not a fan of Jake's influencer-turned-boxer shtick. Floyd said it before, and he's saying it again. Jake Paul is turning boxing into a clown show. And look, he's not wrong. Instead of focusing on the grind, Jake seems more interested in counting YouTube views and posting cringeworthy trash talk. Floyd summed it up best with his infamous all-hype, no-heart jab. And honestly, that one cut deeper than any right hook Jake's ever landed.
Well, if you go back, you got to do your homework, look on the internet. I think he was doing a sit down on a podcast one time, and he talked about it. He said, I don't want to do an exhibition against Floyd Mayweather.
For Floyd, boxing isn't just a sport. It's a sacred craft. So, are you also watching Jake turn it into a spectacle for clicks and cash? Yeah, it's like watching someone graffiti over a Picasso. And traditional boxing fans, they're nodding along with Floyd. They miss the days when boxing was about grit, skill, and legacy, not Instagram followers and NFT drops.
He's selling it. He's selling it, and he's making good money, and he's entertaining. I like it.
But here's the thing. Jake doesn't seem to care. While Floyd's out here defending the sport's integrity, Jake's busy selling fights with viral antics and outrageous call-outs. To Mayweather, this isn't just disrespectful, it's outright blasphemy. And honestly, who's going to argue with the man who is boxing?
Jake Paul, it's clear to me you are desperate for a reality check. This is the hardest sport in the world, and people dedicate their lives to this, and most of them never get a payday. It never pays off for the majority of fighters, all of which would f you up.
Jake Paul isn't just splitting wigs in the ring. He's splitting the entire boxing world down the middle. On one side, you've got Jake's fans who cry that he's bringing boxing to a new audience. On the other side, you've got the purists. These are the folks clutching their Muhammad Ali posters, screaming at their TVs, and wondering why on earth Jake Paul has a bigger pay-per-view draw than most actual champions.
What do you think of this Jake Paul fella?
I always say that if Jake Paul was not a YouTube star, if people just looked at him like an up-and-coming boxer, you would say this kid's got a lot of talent. Right. He's dangerous.
The divide isn't just among fans, though. It's affecting the sport itself. By rejecting fights with credible opponents like Andrew Tate or Conor McGregor, Jake's sending a message. And it's not a good one. He's basically saying, I'd rather fight someone safe and cash in than risk my record against someone who might actually beat me. That's not bravery. That's business.
I mean, he's beating former UFC world champions like Tyron Woodley. You know, he had that very good fight with Tommy Fury, who's a legitimate boxer.
But here is the thing. This isn't just about Jake anymore. It's about boxing's future. If Jake keeps cherry-picking fights and treating the sport like his personal content farm, what happens to boxing's credibility? Will it become just another platform for influencers chasing clout? Or will the sport's integrity somehow survive the chaos? These are the questions Jake's career is forcing everyone to ask.
Are you impressed? Does he have boxing ability? Or is he just an entertainer who has a lot of fans and can promote a fight and has fought lesser opponents? Or is he actually talented?
As long as he continues to fight MMA guys and YouTubers, he's gonna continue to look good and shine.
The problem is that Jake seems more interested in playing it safe. Why risk a brutal loss when you can keep the undefeated streak alive and laugh all the way to the bank? But here's the harsh truth. If Jake doesn't start taking real risks, he's not going to be remembered as a boxer. He's going to be remembered as a sideshow, a flashy gimmick that burned bright but faded fast. Floyd Mayweather put it best. Without real challenges, Jake Paul risks becoming a joke rather than a legend. And if Jake doesn't change course soon, that might just be his legacy. A guy who had all the potential in the world, but squandered it chasing easy wins and internet fame. Here's the million-dollar question. Is Jake Paul going to step up, or is he content to coast on this influencer boxing wave until it inevitably crashes? Because let's be real, he can't keep running forever. At some point, people are going to demand more than rigged contracts and novelty matchups. They're going to want real fights against real opponents with real stakes.